welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen and this is episode 258. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're a new viewer, welcome to the podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, spinning, sewing, hand dyeing yarn, and making pretty much all the things in Brooklyn, New York, where I'm from and I live with my husband Dennis and our adorable cat Bella. And as always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time out of your day to chat about those things with me. And yes, it is the week after Christmas. And if you celebrated, I hope you had a very Merry Christmas. Got to spend some time with family, friends, ate great food. Dennis and I had a very nice Christmas. We went up to visit my grandmother and my parents on Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day was very chill. We really didn't do anything. We just kind of sat around. Dennis studied. I crafted my heart out, and then at the end of the day we went out to dinner and a movie. But yes, I have a show for you guys this week. But before I get into the nitty-gritty, pun totally intended, let me just cover a couple of administrati. And the first is a giveaway winner announcement, and that was for the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas sock pattern by Danny of the Little Bobbins podcast. Danny, if you are not familiar, has a really wonderful podcast. If you haven't checked her out, please do. She is awesome, and she's been podcasting for quite some time already. So yeah, if you haven't checked out her podcast, where have you been? Where have you been? Come on out from under your log, check her podcast out. Now I'm just being silly, but anyway, I'm serious. Danny has a really wonderful podcast that you should definitely check out, and I'm so excited for her because this is her very first pattern that she designed, and I cannot be more excited for her. So congrats, Danny, and thank you so much for this wonderful giveaway. And I actually hosted this giveaway over in the YarnGasm Ravelry group, and the prompt was to let us know what your word for 2018 is, your word or theme. I know this is a very popular thing that people do as opposed to making resolutions, so I was curious to see what you guys had to say. And the winner of the giveaway is, drum roll, number 109, NancyMCMA, and her word for 2018 is embrace, and I love that word. So congrats, NancyMCMA. I will let Danny know that you are the winner and she will send you your prize. So yay, congrats. So while we're on the topic, let's talk about my word for 2018. Granted, I'm still trying to come up with a word or a theme for myself, but I have a couple of ideas bouncing around. I'm just having trouble honing in on one particular word to describe what it is I want to focus on for 2018. But the words that that come to mind are purpose, foresight, reason, and gut instinct. I know that was 2 words, but you know, just going with your gut. I guess that counts as a theme. Yeah, I would say that one of my weaknesses, I don't like to call it a weakness, but things that I'm inclined to do is whenever I get excited, I just jump right into things and I don't really think about gosh, I want to say ramifications, but I know that's a correct word, but it's a little too formal, I would say. I don't think about the outcome. There we go, Kristen. Of, you know, my choices sometimes when it comes to either business decisions or, you know, projects that I jump into. So I will say that I've gotten better, and I just want to continue that. I want to continue honing that skill, so to speak. So I don't know, I'm still trying to find a word that kind of encases all those ideas into one. So if you guys have any ideas, please let me know. But basically, if there's a project or an opportunity that arises, I want to be able to pause, think about it a little bit, mull over it, and then come to a conclusion, as opposed to saying yes, you know, which I enjoy doing, but sometimes I bite off more than I can chew, which I'm sure everyone can relate to at one point or another. But yeah, so still thinking about that. But anyway, so that being said, let's get into what I've been making this week. Okay, so living in my brand spanking new project bag from Nina. Again, I did quite a few holiday swaps this year, so I was very lucky to get some really, really beautiful, wonderful presents from some of my knitting besties. So Nina, I love this bag. This is awesome, and it is housing. It's big enough to fit a sweater, which is currently what it's housing. And if you follow me on Instagram, you are probably aware that I cast on a new project. This is, I guess you can consider it my Christmas Eve cast on, a annual holiday tradition hosted by Danny, again, of the Little Bobbins podcast. Every year she hosts a Christmas Eve cast on. However, I'm not I'm sure it does qualify. Not that I'm entering this into any giveaway competition or anything. I'm just doing it because it's fun, and yeah, I wanted something to cast on Christmas Eve, and I swatched for it on Christmas Eve and cast on Christmas Day, so call it what you will. But I cast on the Threipmuir sweater by Ysolda Teague, and here's where I am so far, you guys. And thank you, by the way. Last week I did not pronounce it correctly, as I suspected. I called it the Threipmuir, and it's actually pronounced Threipmuir. So thank you so much. I'm sorry I'm blanking on your name, but you let me know how to pronounce it, and Threipmuir is how it goes. So I'm using Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight yarn, and well, first the green and the kind of natural white are Jamieson and Smith jumper weight, and then this kind of bluish teal right here is Jamieson Spindrift, and it's the same colorway that I used in my Damnyaka Lopa cardigan. So many names. I have quite a lot of yardage left over from that, so I decided these 3 colors would be really beautiful together. And it's a departure from what I had originally planned. If you tuned in last week, I was hoping or planning to use this colorway instead of the Jamieson Spindrift. And this is Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight in a coral, kind of like heathered coral color. And if you are curious, it's shade FC6MI, FC6 Mix, I guess. And yeah, it's just a really lovely coral shade. I'm sure like all these colors together look really great with the blue, but it would have just been the green, the natural white, and the coral. And I thought, I kind of want to wear this year round, and for some reason I couldn't get Christmas out of my head, and anytime I wear this jumper, I didn't want to be thinking that I was wearing a Christmas jumper. So I decided to swap out the coral for this teal blue. And I'm so glad that I did, because I really love the way it's knitting up. However, I will say that as I was knitting it, I wasn't sure that I picked the cream and the blue were enough contrast, but now that I'm seeing it knit up, I just stuck with it. And I really like the way it's turning out. And yeah, it kind of reminds me of, I don't know, like snowflakes, like snow against like a green foresty background. And I'm just having so much fun knitting it, obviously, because I've made quite a dent in it. And yeah, as you can see, I'm using Chiaogus because these were the only free. It was between these or a pair of wooden clover needles, and obviously I went for the Chiaogus. But yeah, Chiaogu US size 4, 3.5mm needles. And this has, I was a little confused by the directions because she has you cast on using the larger size needles first, and then she has you knitting the ribbing second. She has you pick up all the stitches along the neckline and then knit the ribbing for the neckline. And yeah, 2018 is going to be the year of the garment for me, in which I'm challenging myself to knit at least 4 garments in the year of 2018, and I am hosting a very, very casual knit along. So whoever wants to join in and knit some garments with me, there's a thread open in the YarnGasm Ravelry group, so head on over there. That's the place you can go to find out about all of our knit alongs and partake in them and share your projects and general chatter about the podcast. So yeah, that is where you can find the knit along info for this. It's just gonna be a year, very, very casual. Knit as many or as few garments as you would like. And yeah, it's just fun. So anyway, that's where I am with that. Don't ask me how I forgot about this, but I was so excited to cast this on and get it off the needle so I could wear it. However, I somehow let it fall by the wayside. But that is my brioche, my Chubby Brioche Hat by Lavania Patriciella. I hope I pronounced that right, even with the accent. I just feel like it needs an accent. But anyway, that is, here's where I am with that. And I have a fun, I'm not even gonna try this on because it's gonna like totally mess up my hair. Skein of Chubby has about 50 meters, which according to Alexa, I asked her this morning. That's the beauty of Alexa, you guys. Those Amazon Echo Dots. Again, not endorsed, just a fan. But I have it in my office and I was like, Alexa, what is 50 meters? And she's like, 50 meters is about 54 point blah 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 yards. I'm like, okay, thanks. So yeah, one skein of Chubby has about 54 yards. and that is what this is right here. So thankfully I have another skein of Hedgehog Fibers Chubby in the surprise, surprise, Oracle colorway. I will be totally honest, when I named my shawl Oracle, I totally forgot that Hedgehog Fibers had a colorway called Oracle. Anyway, I don't think that matters or anything, but anyway, yeah. Same name as my shawl, but anyway, they have a really awesome color called Oracle. And yeah, a little out of my comfort zone, but yeah, this is gonna be super warm, and I'm afraid to block it because I'm afraid it's just gonna like fall over my head. But yeah, anyway, we'll see. I might block it, I might not block it, just because I don't want it to stretch out. But yeah, I purchased this yarn from Do You Knit out in New Jersey, who, you know, Karen Posniak owns Do You Knit. And yeah, when I realized I wasn't gonna have enough yardage, I called her up. I was like, hey, would you mind sending me another skein? And she so wonderfully sent me another skein. Yeah, anyway, Karen, thank you. But yeah, I also got this nice little fluffy pom-pom to go on top. And yeah, I'm very excited to have this done. But anyway, yay! So that is actually living in my, oh, I should talk about the needles. I'm using my Luca interchangeables, US 10 6.0 millimeter needles, and loving it. I will say, when it comes to knitting with bulkier weight yarns, the reason why I didn't have this done, because even though in hindsight it doesn't take a lot of yardage and it's supposed to be a super quick knit, I just find it very cumbersome knitting with bulkier weight yarns and bigger needles. It kind of hurts my hands a little bit. So I'm not really, I will say it's not an enjoyable knit for me, so unfortunately, but it is knitting up super fast, and this pattern super simple, and it eats up bulky yarn like nobody's business. So highly recommend if you don't mind knitting with bulky weight yarns and want a quick project. And yeah, that is living in my Love Sock Wool bag, which is finally making another appearance on the podcast. I love this bag so much, and it has not been getting as much love as it deserves, because you guys, unicorns. And if you're not familiar, Sarah has the Love Sock Wool podcast, and she makes beautiful project bags. So check out Sarah. She is the queen of socks. Like she just knits socks all the time. So yeah, if that's your jam, Sarah is right up your alley, and she's so wonderful too. So anyway, Sarah, I love this bag so much, and yeah, glad to be using it again. And it was actually housing a project that I wasn't working on, and I just frogged it, and I was like, oh, finally, I can use this bag again. So anyway, yay! And that is it for what I've been knitting this week. And you guys, I have some sewing to share with you. Oh yeah, sewing happened, and I'm sure you can kind of guess what I've been working on. So yesterday, Wednesday, it was just me at home with the cat, and you know, I was talking to Nina from the Still Knit podcast, and I was like, you know, she sent me a couple PMs, and I never responded until this morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, I fell down a total antisocial sewing hole where I just like shut out everything. I put my phone on night mode, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna sew my heart out today, because I just want to get this dress done. I've had the pieces cut out forever. The first incarnation of it was a total disaster. Not a total disaster, it just, my small bust adjustment turned out a little too tight. So I had to cut out the pieces again, and then yeah, anyway, I had the pieces cut out. They were just sitting there, and I'm like, I just want to get this done. And it took me all day, I kid you not. The whole day was just me sewing on this dress, and it is done. And yeah, so this is, in case you're curious before I get into the details, this dress is Simplicity, a pattern by Simplicity. It's their 8294 pattern, and yeah, I don't really know how to feel about it. I don't not like it, I like it, but I don't know if it's my style. I will say it fits perfectly. It turns out I didn't even have to do anything to the pattern. The only thing I did, I just true upped, I do this, like I'm bringing in the waist. No, I have to, because my bottom is a lot bigger than the upper half. I trued up the bust size to the waist size. So The pattern says that the finished measurements for the bust would be 33 inches, and if you follow the podcast, I'm a proud member of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee, and I'm a size 32. And normally I don't like a lot of ease in my patterns, but sometimes ease is good. Sometimes ease is okay, and I just assumed that I would have to do a small bust adjustment because I do this to all my patterns. However, so that was going from the smallest size to the next size up for the waist. Here's what the waist looks like. It has this really interesting kind of button detail here. And it has a side zipper, which, by the way, I could have executed better. It's not quite invisible. I should have used a gray zipper to begin with, but I think I can go back and just get a little closer to the zipper with the sewing machine. But anyway, again, easy to go back and just fix that. But it has 2 pleats in the front, and then here's the other button, and then in the back it has 2 darts from the waist down. And then, yeah, the other, I guess, what else do we want to talk about? Has a Peter Pan collar, which I was going for. I think the Peter Pan collar is the thing that's kind of throwing me off. I like the idea of it, I just don't think it's me. And next time I make this dress, I'm gonna make a version without the Peter Pan collar. And now I'm so glad that I made it with this fabric, because I have some very special Liberty fabric that I have set aside to make, that I wanted to make a second version out of it. However, I'm not sure that this is what it's going to become. We'll see. What else do I want to say about this? Yeah, and it's just 100% quilting cotton, and that's the other thing. I'm not crazy about wearing quilting cotton. It's great to learn on, and it has its place. However, there's no give to it. I've discovered that quilting cotton in general is just very stiff to wear. It doesn't have much give. You can't really move in it. I mean, I can move in this. It fits fine. I'm happy with the fit. Happy with the, overall gist of it. But yeah, quilting cotton, I think going forward, I'm going to mainly stick to jersey knits, jersey fabric, knit fabric, challis, and what's the other one that I really like? Double gauze. Double gauze I really love. However, I noticed that, especially like fabric.com, they have quite a lot of fabric, they have a lot of double gauze available. However, it's mainly like baby, I want to say like pastels and light colors, and maybe in a lot of baby print patterns, which obviously I'm not going to wear baby print patterns. So anyway, I know like Cotton and Steel and a couple of other designers make or offer double gauze with some really interesting prints on them. But anyway, yeah. The other thing that I was not too happy about with this dress, and again, it's like a learning curve for me. I'm still learning how to appropriately place the pattern pieces on printed fabric. So, again, when you cut out a bodice with a, detailed print on it like this one, you want to make sure that there are no owls or flower buds in unfortunate places like the boob area or the crotch area or the butt area. So yeah, well, it worked out okay for this one. I kind of wish this bird was up here. And then on here, I didn't realize that there would be a pleat placement on the dress until after. Again, read your directions, guys. And this owl just kind of looks a little sad. I don't know. He looks sad and distorted, and he's hiding. Anyway, yeah, but I still like it. It goes with a lot of things. I really like this color with my complexion, and it's just a really fun print. So I can see myself wearing this, not every day, obviously, but, going out or what have you. But yeah, it was I will say, it was very simple to construct. There wasn't anything, for, I would say, an adventurous beginner, advanced beginner pattern. And however, it was incredibly involved. So there were a lot of steps, but steps that weren't difficult. So if you are up for a challenge and just have a whole day of sewing available to you, then by all means jump in on this pattern, because yeah, it's a very petite pattern. So if you have a tiny frame, yeah. But anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I might do some sewing today. I have like some more fabric that I want to make another lady skater dress out of. You guys, I can never have enough lady skater dresses. It's like my favorite pattern because I live in all of my lady skater dresses. Every day I just swap one in and out. It's my uniform. So before I get into blather, I just want to mention quickly that our Half Moon Oracle Shawl knit along and the box of socks knit along are coming to a close January 1st. So if you have not already, please make sure you get your FO photos and links and whatnot into their appropriate FO threads. Just to reiterate, the box of socks knit along is happening over in the Voolenvine Yarns Ravelry thread, and the Half Moon Oracle Shawl knit along is happening over in the Voolenvine Yarns Ravelry thread, and I will link to those below in the description box. So that said, I'm gonna move along to Blather, a segment where I chat about what's been happening in my life, should you care to stick around. And I thought for this segment, this week, I would do something special and talk about all the amazing and awesome things that happened in 2017. I will say I'm not the most eloquent when it comes to wrapping the year up in a nice tidy package with a bow on top and doing like all montages and, you know, reminiscing and all that. But I do have a list in which I'm very excited to talk about. And but first, I just want to say, give a huge, big thanks to you guys, you amazing viewers and my supporters. And yeah, it's, again, I'm not eloquent at saying this stuff, but I'm just continually grateful for everybody who, you know, buys my yarn and my patterns and, you know, just all the lovely compliments and things that you say on my Instagram feed and on Ravelry. And just, again, like, I'm continually wowed and blown away by the amazing community that's just grown around YarnGasm and Voolenvine Yarns. And yeah, again, I say this all the time. I do it because of you guys. So without further ado, I just wanted to just bullet point all the little, not little, but like, all the exciting things that happened this year. And well, first of all, as I mentioned, I designed 2 shawl patterns, not 1, but 2. Maybe this year I will design 3. We'll see, we'll keep the tradition going. But yeah, I designed the Oracle Shawl and the Half Moon Oracle Shawl, and you guys, the reception for those patterns just, again, blew me away. So thank you so much to everybody who purchased those. I got such wonderful feedback from them, and it's definitely given me the design bug. You know, I do have, you know, I do feel it occasionally, like, oh, I want to design this, I want to design that, but it just kind of, knowing that those patterns excited you and you enjoyed knitting them gave me more confidence to just like, yeah, I could see myself designing more things. This year I also moved into the dye dungeon, which we are currently sitting in right now. If you are not familiar, I started out dyeing in my kitchen, and we had a spare apartment in our basement which we were renting out, and our tenant moved out and Voolenvine Yarns moved in over the summer. And yeah, I now have my own dedicated dye space. So yeah, no, moving on up. So it's made a world of difference. It's so nice having a dedicated dye space. I don't have to set up and break down everything all the time, and I can finally cook in my kitchen. We don't have to eat out of a crock pot or a Foreman grill. So, you know, it's, yeah, not that I cook on a regular basis to begin with, but it's nice to know I have the option of using a stovetop. The YarnGasm podcast hit 15K subscribers this year, which is amazing. Yeah, you guys, thank you. You guys are awesome. I taught myself to knit continental with my left hand, which is pretty awesome. I will say I find myself defaulting to English style knitting with my right hand, but it's still a really great skill to have, especially when it comes to knitting color work. So yeah, I've also honed my color work knitting skills, which is amazing. I hired my first employee, so that is coming in 2018. She is starting January 2nd. She's going to be, if you placed an order this week, she is going to be packaging your orders. So yeah, I'm very excited to have Emily start with us. So yay, Emily, if you're watching, I'm excited to have you on board. So yay! I knit 2 sweaters this year. How did that happen? How did that happen? I knit the Chuck sweater and I knit the Demyaka Lopa sweater, and very much looking forward to the year of garments. So yeah, anyway. And I think that pretty much sums up. I mean, granted, there were so many other amazing things that happened. I went to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I'm going again next March, by the way, if you are not aware. I'm very excited about that. I had such a great time. I got to meet so many wonderful people that I've only known through podcasts and on the internet and Instagram and Ravelry. So that was definitely a highlight of 2017. Yeah, words can't even describe. It was just a really, I have to say, a really, really good year, you know, both personally and business-wise. And, you know, yeah, just thank you so much for tuning in every week and, you know, partaking in this awesomeness. So I think I will leave it at that. And this will be the last episode of 2017. So I wish you and yours a very happy, healthy new year. And yeah, just have a wonderful, safe New Year's Eve and Happy New Year. And I will see you next time. Bye.